Hi everyone. Today is March 23rd. Apparently, this is like a palindrome day with like 32323. Um, Today we're talking a little bit about AI, and um, I've been doing more and more experiments with Chat GPT. And I was watching one video that was teaching it how uh, Midjourney, I think the one that's creating these AI images, and what the person was doing was kind of giving ChatGPT all the specs and basically the specific details about how it works and how the prompts work for Midjourney, and all the kind of specific specs, specific details, but all of the just very precise ways that it can be engineered. But the bigger thing that I noticed with that was like giving it a set of um, instructions, not instructions, but parameters to see how something works, and then show it a few examples of something that is a good example within that framework. So I decided to do that with the TOEFL prep. So using the TOEFL writing rubrics to see like what was the highest level answer based on what a human evaluator would be looking at, and just to give it something visual or text based that it could work with, and then just inserted all that information, and then I showed it an example of my own writing that has gotten a pretty high score and is like detailed and thorough, and and then I fed it a template that I like from another teacher, and to say, okay, like now that you understand how the thing's being evaluated and a model response of what looks good, right? And here is a reading passage, here's a lecture, create an essay based on this information. It At first it just did what it wanted to do for the essay, and then I said, okay, I need to give it the template of what I teach my students of like use these couple phrases for this introduction, this body paragraph, this one, skip the conclusion, just make sure that we get this kind of back and forth discussion. And then I was feeding in those essays to a an evaluation tool that I've been using with some students, and I was checking these like percentages. I mean, they're very close to 100, but they're not 100. So like the particular essay that I was using, it had a certain person's name that had to be repeated throughout the essay, and but the writing sample that I gave it had like obtained a 98%, and it was, I think, lower because of some of this repetition because of the person's name that was involved in that essay. And I showed it like I asked it like 2 times to write the essay, and it got like a 97%. I I asked it to tweak something, and it went from like a 96 to 97. But this idea of trying to get it to score a 100%, there was just a few little things that were kind of slightly off. And yet on a couple other experiences I've done, like in December, I was doing a writing workshop for students, and I was just like, okay, I want to write this and see what quality it would get. And it managed to get the 100% score on this tool. So I know it's possible as a human to really show it this good writing. I was even taking some of the writing from ChatGPT. I tried it on Quillbot, which some people have said is one way to avoid detection for if something has been written by AI. So students at universities are trying to use this to avoid detection in case their professors are putting their text through a filter for plagiarism and AI writing. But even still, with that Quillbot, it paraphrases and says things in a different way. But even still, it didn't get. I think that's where it went from the 96, 97. It still didn't get that 98 that I had gotten with my own writing, or even the 100 that I had also obtained with this exact same tool. So in a way, this questioning of, can it really replace for now, I guess it depends on the prompts that we're given and the models that we show it to say we like this and do more of this. So it's really good, but there's still that human element in there. So I'm kind of giving myself a little bit of a smile looking at the fact that it was close, but didn't quite yet get to that percentage that I was able to get. So for now, I had just this feeling of, okay, I won't be exactly replaced there. And my students who I'm showing these tools to kind of, so they can learn with it, but not feel like they can't cheat with this stuff, because on the actual test, it has to be them there in front of a computer. In a computer that's not connected to a browser or something like that. So they have to just use these skills, but as a learning tool to see kind of what good writing can look like, I think it can take them pretty high up, but there's still a few things that they need to get for the writing style and the understanding of like grammar and things. But as a tool for learning, I think there's some really interesting things that we can do with it. I've also been getting the ChatGPT to help me with some programming. So it gives me a pretty big head start on some code. If I can get an idea that I want to try to implement, and then I know enough code and programming that I can see when something is incomplete, or something might not be exactly the way I want it to work. So I'm able to get it to keep tweaking some code to fix it, so that I can get it to do what I want. So there are a couple prototype programs that I'm experimenting with this, and then also sharing some of those things with students to show them what can be done with this. So for example, with these essays, there is another tool that I use that assesses the reading level, which is basically the vocabulary range that the student has. And that specific website is using a list of vocabulary words and trying to see if this text that a student submits or somebody writes on that website, how many of those words in that text can be found on a list of about 3,000 words that like a 10-year-old would know. And all it does is just indicate above that range, like what grade level that could be. So if there's based on this like percentage of how many words are on there, and there's a little bit of a calculation, which is based on another teacher or researcher's calculation for reading difficulty level. All it does is just give that grade level. So like 9, 10th, 10, like 11, 12th grade, college student, college graduate, if it's like the highest. Yet it doesn't indicate which words specifically are there on that list or not. So I wanted to actually go back and re-engineer that tool. So I was able to get the ChatGPT to, with that list of 3,000 words and turn that into an array, and then have every word in this text, this essay, be checked against the list. And then if it is, or if it is on there, highlight it. So then I can show students all of these kind of easier words are on this list. And then the next idea would be to, from there, have that highlighted text there and maybe get something that could help paraphrase those things to make, like, that sentence might look too easy. Let's paraphrase that in a more academic way. So hopefully this can help students detect where the vocabulary range is too simple, too basic. I mean, we need both. We do need basic communication for like the emails I write in the speaking challenge. I do intentionally try to bring them down to the like 9th, 10th grade level, so they're more accessible for a wider audience of readers. But when I want to write my essays for the exam, I do want them to be where it says like college student, college graduate. So I want to have both skills, that I can use academic writing when it's necessary, and I can use general writing when that's also necessary. And I want to be able to help students detect both of those, because the ChatGPT tool can go between these registers to, like, I can say, okay, take that thing, make it slang. Okay, now from the slang, make it more standard. So it does have some ability in there with the registers. And I just want to help students, not just the exam prep students, but I do recognize there are also business students who they recognize that like their vocabulary range might be in this certain area and they want to expand on that. Hola a todos, hoy es el 23 de marzo y estoy hablando un poco de los usos de la inteligencia artificial, y he estado experimentando con el ChatGPT y sobre todo para escribir ensayos para la preparación del examen TOEFL y con la pregunta de si puede reemplazarme. Yo creo que todavía tengo una utilidad para escribir un poco mejor que esta herramienta, pero también estoy usando el ChatGPT para crear herramientas para mis alumnos y me ayuda mucho con programación para tener como un avance en lugar de empezar algo desde cero, y sí puede ayudar. Necesito empezar una clase, entonces voy a pasar a los otros idiomas. Bonjour tout le monde, aujourd'hui c'est le 23 mars et je parle un petit peu sur l'intelligence artificielle et si ça peut nous remplacer. Et en ce moment, je fais pas mal de, de recherche pour comment écrire bien des essais pour l'examen TOEFL. Il y a quand même quelques possibilités avec cet outil, mais quand même quand j'essaie d'avoir une évaluation de ces essais écrits par l'intelligence artificielle, ça n'arrive pas encore à avoir la même note, la même marque que je reçois. Donc, ça indique pour l'instant que j'arrive quand même à être un petit peu au-dessus. Et donc, je ne suis pas remplacé pour l'instant. Mais ça aide quand même pour des idées, pour la programmation et des façons d'apprendre. Donc quand même, c'est un outil qui peut aider. Hallo Nala, heute ist der 23. Tag und ich spreche ein bisschen darüber ChatGPT und wie habe ich es benutzen in diesem Moment. Und ich denke, es ist hilfreich für die Prüfung, TOEFL, für Schreiben. Und die Frage, das habe ich, ist, kann es machen etwas besser als mich? Und in diesem Moment ich sehe das nein, aber es ist close. Und ich kann es benutzen mit meinen Studenten und ich denke, es ist hilfreich für Lernen Englisch und wie können sie besser zu schreiben. Und ja, das ist alles für heute. Ciao a tutti, oggi è il giorno 23. Parlo un po' di intelligenza artificiale e in questo momento ho utilizzato il chat GPT e penso che può essere utile e ho fatto esperimenti con i miei studenti per la preparazione di TOEFL e possiamo vedere come scrivere bene e come scrivere meglio, ma ho visto che non ha ricevuto il 100%, ma posso utilizzare questo per fare programmi per i miei studenti. Questo è tutto. Всем привет! Сегодня 23-й день, и я говорю немного о ChatGPT и как я использую эту программу, и я вижу это, чтобы написать хорошо для TOEFL, и я объясняю, как использовать это с моими студентами, и думаю, что это помогает. Но сейчас думаю, что я еще пишу лучше, чем ChatGPT. Так, это все на сегодня. Большое спасибо, пока.